Hello and welcome to eNews. I'm Shahan Ramkisoon. It's great to have you with us. Our top stories tonight. 9-year-old Miguel Lo, whose decomposed body was found in Phoenix, Durban, is laid to rest. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Michael Masuta admits his department's headquarters is unsafe. Murdered Durban schoolboy Miguel Lo has been laid to rest. A funeral service for the grade 4 pupil who went missing in July has been held at the St. Anne's Church in Sydenham. Tathia was there.
This motorcade has just passed the street where 9-year-old Miguel Lo was last seen before he was allegedly kidnapped. As the hearse enters the St. Anne's Catholic Church carrying his little casket, friends and family prepare to bid him farewell. Miguel's remains, still clothed in his school uniform, were found in a bush in Phoenix earlier this month.
He was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful child. And God is great because his purpose for Miguel's life has been fulfilled.
Father Ndodana Schumer called on parents to be more protective of their children, but not to take the law into their own hands.
Miguel here in this stage is more than a proof that our society is sick. I mean, it's easy to stand and point fingers. It's easy to stand and judge. It's easy to stand and say the problem is elsewhere. But I think the problem is in the whole society.
There's been widespread support for the Lo family during and after Miguel's disappearance. But there's been anger too. Family acquaintance Mohammed Ibrahim is accused of kidnapping Miguel and will soon face an additional charge of murder. Miguel's remains have been cremated at the Clare Estate crematorium. Tathia, Sydenham in Durban.
Now, schools are meant to be places of learning, but all too often videos of pupils behaving badly emerge, with some even showing teenagers assaulting their teachers. This week, a 15-year-old Eldorado Park secondary school pupil shocked many after he pointed a firearm at a teacher. We ask what could be driving this type of behavior. Please note some viewers may find the following visuals disturbing. Masego Ratlacha has more.
This video, taken during the birthday celebration of a male pupil at the schoolboy secondary school in Hammanskraal, north of Pretoria, has left many questioning how this type of behavior could be allowed at school. The question that immediately arises is, where are the teachers? Well, we asked the Gauteng Education Department Steve Mabona this question.
Look, it looks like it was a break time. But our investigation will really indicate on what was transpiring because, like as I said, we now want to investigate all the learners in that class, which is a grade 10. Those statements will then be confirming on what was transpiring.
It's not the first time the Hammanskraal school has made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Earlier this year, a video showing yet another grade 10 pupil encouraging promiscuous behavior and using very explicit language also did the rounds. The girl was suspended for 5 days as a result. But Schoolboy Secondary School isn't the only problem school. In 2013, this grade 8 pupil from the Glen Vista High School was expelled after this incident did the rounds on social media. So, what is it about the teens and acting out like this? We asked an educational psychologist to shed some light.
So we've got to look at a child in totality, holistically. But we also got to educate society. So a lot of the times also, like these conduct disorders that are happening where children are harming other people intentionally. As you say, pulling out the gun, stabbing, antisocial disorders. They don't only start then. There's usually signs earlier on. So when we educate society or parents or educators, so these are the signs, it is picked up sooner and help can be provided sooner.
The Education Department has revealed that 151 pupils were expelled for bad behavior between last January and the beginning of 2018. According to the department, pupils in some instances were excluded for serious cases like attempted murder and stabbing. Masego Ratlaga, Johannesburg.
All courts and buildings of the Justice and Correctional Services Department will comply with occupational health and safety standards soon. That's the assurance from Minister Michael Masuta. He's instructed officials to roll out a national compliance program. It follows Tshwane Mayor Solomon Simanga shutting down the department's headquarters because it didn't meet safety standards. Slindelo Masikane reports.
Michael Masuta has had a change of heart. He will no longer go to court to challenge the shutdown of the Department of Correctional Services building. The 32-story structure's fire escape doors are sealed. It has no smoke detectors or alarms and insufficient water to extinguish a fire. The nerve center of the justice system is the latest structure to be evacuated.
So you can agree with the mayor that there was reason to panic?
The safety of our employees come first. So our attitude was, rather than have this protracted fight with the municipality, let's focus on what needs to be done.
A recent blaze at a government building in downtown Johannesburg killed 3 firefighters. Masuta says compliance issues are being attended to as a matter of urgency. He's confident that the DCA's head offices will be reopened come Monday. Masuta says the shutdown has given him a wake-up call.
I've given them directive that regardless of compliance certificates that may have been provided by the landlords of those buildings, I want an independent assessment of the safety compliance of all those buildings. That is one thing that was an eye-opener even for me, and with a sense of appreciation as well, that although I was upset by the drastic manner in which the mayor acted.
Mayor Solomon Simanga has instructed his city manager to investigate the occupational health and safety standards and fire compliance of all Tshwane buildings, including those owned or occupied by the city. Slindelo Masikane, Johannesburg.
Problems facing Metro Rail are finally being addressed. The Public Protector is stepping in to probe safety and security issues as well as alleged mismanagement. Western Cape government officials met with senior advocates to map a way forward. Pelari Setusa reports.
Overcrowding, delays, arson attacks and more have seen Metro Rail in the Western Cape struggling to stay on track. Arson attacks in the last few months have seen over 30 coaches torched at an estimated cost of 50 million rand.
Our trains are burning, not once, several times that are happening. And this created the impression of saying that there is a serious defect in terms of responsibilities.
Slow responses from the police, PRASA and the Department of Transport led to the Public Protector being called in to help.
We don't have those investigative power to see what actually is it that is happening. Whether we're talking about the financial mismanagement, lack of security, the people who are relevant that can do that, one of such is the Public Protector.
The Public Protector's office has agreed that there is a crisis and will begin investigating the various issues raised in the next 2 weeks. Peladi Setusa, Cape Town.
Coming up after the break, millions are affected by 2 major storms battering the southeast coast of the US and the Philippines. Welcome back. A nostalgic, bittersweet look at history marked a special book launch at Parliament this week. The event honoured the late Nelson Mandela and Albertina Sisulu, who both would have turned 100 this year. Tanya Neft reports.
A range of newly published books. Only these document the many contributions and perspectives of those who have carved out and still paving the way of our 2-decade-old constitution. Family members of the late apartheid stalwarts joined politicians and President Cyril Ramaphosa at the occasion.
We've come to launch these wonderful books that tell the story really of our democracy and the constitutional journey that we have embarked on.
The series of books covers South Africa's rise to a constitutional democracy. It details the development of the Constitution and the contributions played by people like Nelson Mandela and Albertina Sisulu.
Thank you for inviting us to this wonderful event. It's also taken my wife and I down memory lane. And thank you very much for those who produced those wonderful booklets. We will always remember you and remember the books. And I like the one where my mom is looking very young and very pretty. I'll take that home and frame it.
The books are available to the general public through Parliament. Tanya Neft, Parliament.
South African artist Nelson McComas' latest collection celebrates women. The 36-year-old is known for his bold portraits. We caught up with him and a few of his admirers.
Contemporary artist Nelson McComas had his debut solo exhibition in 2014. He's since shown his work in France, Italy, Germany, the United Kingdom and the USA. Admirers of McComas' work say his new portraits of women promote discussions about fundamental rights issues and domestic abuse.
For the longest time, I always wanted to actually speak. So this is the time for me visually to sort of present what I feel like is important for this generation to know.
McComas unveiled his latest collection at the recent Johannesburg Art Fair.
Women have only been depicted as women going to fetch water from the river, but I just feel like he always brings out the beauty of a woman, and that's what I love. Or maybe the struggle of a woman. He just, you get thinking about what is this woman going through at that point when he was painting, what was going through his mind.
It makes a huge difference when the value of women, when the conversation, when the dialogue comes from men. You know, I think there's much more value there, there's much more strength there, because we live in a man's world, you know, we cannot deny that, you know, so if it's them that actually push the boundaries and push the conversation, definitely there will be change.
McComas plans to continue using his skills to add his unique voice to ongoing global conversations about issues facing women and society at large. His next exhibition will be in early October at the 154 Contemporary African Art Fair in London.
International news now. At least 5 people have died in North Carolina as Tropical Storm Florence batters the U.S. state. Heavy rain is flooding rivers and strong winds uprooted trees. Hundreds of people have been trapped in some areas and thousands have been evacuated from their homes. Millions are without electricity. And a strong typhoon tore through the northern tip of the Philippines, packing winds of more than 200 kilometers per hour, along with torrential rain. At least 3 people have died as a result of floods and landslides. Thousands of people have been evacuated to temporary shelters. The Philippines is still haunted by the devastation of Typhoon Haiyan, which killed more than 6,300 people in 2013. After the break, your weather details, and then don't be surprised if you see Superman or Wonder Woman in town. Comic-Con has come to Africa for the very first time, and it's right here in Johannesburg.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Centre. Let's take a look at your Sunday's weather conditions, and the day is going to start off cloudy in the far eastern parts, along with fog along the escarpment where there could be drizzle and a bit of light rain for the coastal parts of KwaZulu-Natal. Although a bit of sunshine comes through later, it is going to be a cooler day for those parts, while the Highveld will be clear and hot once again. An approaching cold front towards the western parts of the country will start pushing in some cloud cover along that Atlantic seaboard in the late afternoon, and in particular towards evening. In the Northern Cape, we see sunshine helping to push temperatures into the lower 30s for some parts of the province. But for Alexander Bay and Springbok, it's going to be a mild afternoon with temperatures only reaching 20 degrees Celsius. It's going to be a mild afternoon as well from Langebaan through to Hermanus, all 3 reaching 21 degrees. And although it is going to be a dry day towards late evening, there could be a few drops of drizzle as that cold front gets closer to the area. Partly cloudy and dry across the Eastern Cape, 25 as a maximum for Graaff-Reinet, Komani as well as Matatiele. And in KwaZulu-Natal, Newcastle reaches a high of 34 degrees, but most other parts of this province will be quite cool. Cloudy at first with drizzle and fog along the escarpment and a bit of light rain in the forecast toward the coastline. Dry and warm to hot on the Mpumalanga Highveld, but cooler for Bombela, reaching a maximum of 25. And cooler air will also be reaching the eastern parts of Limpopo. A bit of fog along the escarpment in the morning, but becoming partly cloudy later on. A hot and dry day in the northwest, along with gusty winds, resulting in a high fire danger warning over this province. And fire danger conditions will also be high across the Free State. It's going to be a warm and dry day over the province, but cold at first. Zastron dropping to an overnight low of only 1. And finally, for Gauteng, it's going to be a hotter day in your area, with Pretoria climbing to a maximum of 34 degrees Celsius. And those temperatures continue climbing into Monday. Pretoria reaches a high of 35, 33 for Johannesburg, but Cape Town will be colder along with rain as another cold front passes over. And that continues into Tuesday with a high of only 16 in that area. But the temperatures in the north continue climbing even higher. Bombela with a maximum temperature of 40 degrees on Tuesday. That's all from me. Goodbye for now.
And finally, if you've seen Batman, Superman, Thor or Captain America around, you're not seeing wrong. Africa's very first Comic-Con is underway in Johannesburg. Gamers and comic book enthusiasts are in for a super treat. Masego Ratlaga has more.
Hi, I'm Capoy and this is Comic-Con.
Thousands of people of all races, young and old, gathered here to enjoy this global phenomenon. The excitement was palpable as upcoming feature games were showcased. These lucky fans will get to experience the gameplay before anyone else.
This game is just so amazing. Oh man. Like,
so how are you finding the game?
I feel like I'm a kid again. I feel like this is just a nice nostalgia thing. It is amazing to play this game. It is fantastic. Like, words can't describe how I feel right now.
Others came dressed up in their favorite superhero and villain characters.
Just seeing all the comics. I'm a big fan. Can't wait to see the whole exhibit. Yeah.
Although 3 major acts, including Aquaman, cancelled at the last minute, people still came here in large numbers. Those gathered say they're hoping this is not a once-off event. Tickets are sold out, and fans are expected to still come here throughout the weekend. Masego Ratlaga, Johannesburg.
Here's a reminder of our top stories before we go. 9-year-old Miguel Lo, whose decomposed body was found in Phoenix, Durban, is laid to rest. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Michael Masuta admits his department's headquarters is unsafe. From me, Shahan Ramkisoon, and the rest of the team, good night.